Hi, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Lily Khan. I'm the admissions tutor for Hebrew and Jewish Studies, and I've got with me two of our current students doing the BA in Ancient Languages. Francesca, you're in the second year of your degree. You've just finished the second year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And Elliot, you're just finishing your final year.
Yeah.
It's gone quickly. Feels like to me anyway, because I remember when you were applying. So it's really nice to see you like finishing the degree. So what made both of you decide to do a degree in ancient languages?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Well, I did Latin and Greek at school. Basically, that was my introduction to ancient languages, and I really enjoyed it. But looking at all the classics options, they didn't really focus on like the linguistics and things like that, because that was really what I loved about it. We did prose composition in secondary school, so actually writing in Latin and Greek, which I was just crazy about that. So when I found that there was a course that was just about languages as much as you wanted, then that was perfect.
Excellent. That's exactly why we designed this degree, because we felt like there was a real gap for students who are like extremely passionate about the languages and the linguistics and the texts. Whereas like if you do classics, or if you do Hebrew and Jewish studies, there's kind of a more of an emphasis on like, the literature and the history, which is like not for everybody. And so if you really like want to do the language and the linguistics at, kind of a really intensive level, then that's exactly what this degree is for. And Francesca, what about you?
I mean, for me, it was a very similar thing of I did Greek and Latin at school, and I also did lots of modern languages, and I just generally am pretty obsessed with learning as many languages as possible.
Me too.
I love modern languages, but I thought actually learning ancient languages is better at university because the access is it's quite difficult to access those languages and teach yourself those languages. You can't just go to a different country. And so I thought, well, it's a perfect degree. I can do modern languages, but I can do as many ancient languages as I want and just focus on linguistics and that kind of thing. So that was my main reason for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I often feel like learning an ancient language is kind of like time traveling, because like if you learn a modern language, you get to like kind of go to experience a contemporary culture, but learning ancient language really like gives you a window onto a civilization that you would kind of never have access to in the same way otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. And what made you both pick UCL?
Well, I mean, really, for this particular, I don't know, area of specialization, area of study, there was no other option. I mean, when I was looking for degrees that were like classics minus about half the content with the history and culture and things, there was nothing out there. So I didn't know really what I wanted to do until I think my mum found it by chance one day, ancient languages at UCL. And I was like, okay, then that's the only option. Not that UCL isn't amazing, but for this degree, it's really the only one you can go for.
Yeah, it's the only ancient languages degree in the UK. So yeah, that it was kind of a trick question, I guess. And Francesca, what about you? Do you want to add anything?
I mean, for me, it was pretty much exactly the same thing. I was actually looking for a degree which was classics and then sort of ancient Near Eastern languages, or just not limited to only that classics bubble, I guess. And then I found this degree when I was maybe 16 or 17, when I was sort of looking into university stuff, and it was the only degree that I liked. And so I thought, well, I'm also not limited to so many things. So even if I change my mind slightly about, say, which languages I really want to do, I still have that option even within that degree. So.
Great. So what have you been focusing on? Because like you mentioned, there's quite a lot of flexibility in the course options. So you do 1 unit of Hebrew and 1 unit of either Greek or Latin per year. But then other than that, you can kind of tailor the languages and the courses to your own interests. So Elliot, what have you been studying?
Yeah, well, I've been trying to do quite a bit. Most of my stuff, I suppose, has been at SOAS. About half of my courses have been there, which is really interesting. They're all languages that I knew almost nothing about. So I did Akkadian in first year, Akkadian and Hittite in second year, and then Sumerian. which have been absolutely fascinating and just so different to anything I've done before. But yeah, as you said, also continuing with classics, and I recently managed to do ancient Egyptian, which is just unbelievable to study.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And Francesca, what about you?
So what have I done? In my first year, I did Greek and Latin and sort of more focusing on classics, and I did Hittite as well my first year, and Hebrew. And then this year, I limited it to 3 languages so that I wouldn't get quite as confused, because I found it a little bit too much in my first year.
Mm.
But I would say my main focuses probably are sort of Greek and Hittite and those kinds of sort of ancient Indo-European sort of Middle Eastern languages kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I think some students like get really interested in the Semitic languages and end up doing, like Hebrew and Aramaic and Syriac and Akkadian and Ugaritic, and then others are more interested in the Indo-European side. So like you said, like Greek and Latin and Hittite and Sanskrit. And then there's some that you kind of just stay equally between the two of them. And then also there's Egyptian and other languages. Like Elliot, you were considering doing classical Chinese this year, right?
I was, yeah. It's a shame that we don't have more space to take the modules. Otherwise, I would have. But yeah, that seems really interesting, and it's great that there's a chance to do that. And things that are you've never heard of, like Luwian and
exactly.
yeah, there's you can do anything. It's great.
Yeah, it really is.
So, Francesca, you're going into your final year next year. Is there anything particular that you're looking forward to studying?
I will probably say, so I'm going to do Mycenaean Greek, hopefully, which I'm very excited about, which also fits quite nicely in with sort of Hittite and that general kind of area of linguistics, I suppose. And then also I will be doing Akkadian Text 1, which I'm quite excited about, and so more Gilgamesh. And I really enjoy just generally ancient epics, so it's really great for that. Even if it isn't necessarily quite the same sort of language route, I still find sort of the interconnections are still really obvious to Hittite and all those cultural sort of areas and stuff. So, yeah.
And Elliot, you're finishing the degree, so what are you thinking about doing after you graduate?
Well, now I'm thinking of staying in the department and doing the Hebrew and Jewish Studies Masters.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's really so I can focus in on Semitic and sort of Afro-Asiatic languages as a whole, because I really spent this degree looking around between the different language families, doing the Semitics but doing Indo-European still, and then Sumerian, which is a whole other ball game. But yeah, I've discovered Semitics, and I think that's sort of the area I want to go into.
Brilliant.
With that.
Well, yeah, we'd be really happy to have you back in the department again. So is there anything else that you'd like to say to prospective students who are thinking about ancient languages?
Would you like to go first, or shall I?
I don't know. I think my main thing was just about the amount of choice you have and the variety. I mean, even if you wanted to just do the compulsory modules from this course and then do wildly different things, you can. So yeah, you're really not limited. You can go and do archaeology like I did, or sign language like my friend did, do more linguistics, or you can choose anything. It's really customizable, and you don't have to be afraid of like not liking certain ancient languages. Then
you can drop them generally. If you don't like one, you can just stop doing it. And cool. And Francesca, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, so I would say again, it's that main thing of you have so much freedom, and I think it's also quite nice because you're sort of respected as an undergraduate that actually what you're really interested in is really important. And normally it's quite prescriptive in sort of saying, oh, if you want to study classics, this and this and this are the key things that you have to learn. When actually it isn't necessarily the only way of studying the kind of subjects. And again, also I think it's just really interesting because you can pick such wildly different languages and then still realize, even though they're from completely different areas of the ancient world, that actually sort of the mentality of sort of ancient people is still within those languages. And it's really fascinating. And I don't think you get that opportunity normally to really realize how widespread sort of that cultural phenomenon is. So,
yeah. I'm really glad that you feel like that. And I think that that's a really important point, is that I think like our kind of whole approach with this degree is that we wanted to make it as customizable as possible, and we wanted to like kind of, make you feel empowered, that you're not being dictated to, that like you must learn this and this and this, because exactly what you said, that your choices are, completely valid, and your interests, you should be allowed to follow your interests. So we didn't want it to be too prescriptive. So thank you both so much. It's been really, really great having you in the department, and I'm looking forward to having you both back again next year. And thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.